2 years ago, I was starting my career in cybersecurity, and at the time I had no idea really what I wanted to do long term in this industry. However, it did not take long for me to learn just how truly broad this industry is and how many options there are that I could take my career. And as I started to look around at all those different options and I started to take stock in all the different opportunities that exist in this industry, I started to formulate a plan on exactly where I wanted to go. So we're going to talk about some of those cybersecurity jobs that I found while I was looking for my path forward. We're going to talk about what those different jobs do and kind of how they fit in within the big picture. As I learn more about all of this, I learn more about what I wanted to do, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video, so stay tuned. This industry is incredibly broad. There are roles in this field that can fit anybody. I mean, whether you want to deal with the super technical parts of cybersecurity or you don't want anything to do with the technical parts of cybersecurity, there are roles for you. Whether you like what's technical or you want to deal with just soft skill jobs, there's a place for you. There are also a ton of ways to get into any one of these jobs, and there is no silver bullet solution to get any one of them. From a bird's eye view, you can really look at this industry as split between offense and defense. This perspective is actually changing right now to something called purple team, which is a blending of offense and defense, because in reality, the folks working on the offensive side of cybersecurity are really working to aid the defense. So you can see them as a subgroup of the defense. And that's really what joins the red team or the offensive side and the blue team or the defensive side, and it merges them together and calls them purple team. But for the simplicity of this video, we're just going to talk about offense and defense because that just helps split things up a little bit easier to look at the different jobs right now. But just keep in mind that if you're looking for a cybersecurity job and you're looking for anything, even on the offensive side, you're really looking at the defense. Now, I'm going to list a ton of jobs, but I'm not going to list all the jobs that are in cybersecurity. You can be in this industry as a reporter, as a journalist, as a teacher, as a content creator. There's a ton of different things that you can do in this industry that other people may not necessarily view as within cybersecurity. But I mean, if you touch this industry, if you are raising awareness about it in any kind of way, if you're reporting on it, I mean, I'd say that that is a fair part of this industry. Just because the job title does not exist in this video does not mean that it is not part of this industry. That being said, we're going to look at really the kind of main jobs you're going to find in a corporate environment that you might be looking for if you're wanting to get into that kind of world. So whenever I started looking for what I wanted to do in this industry, I really decided that I wanted to become a penetration tester or an ethical hacker. And a lot of you watching this video probably feel the same way. So I started looking at what kind of jobs exist on the offensive side. And that's really where I started looking at a penetration tester job. Among penetration testers, you also have bug bounty hunters and red teamers. And we're going to talk about red teamers first behind penetration testers. But penetration testers are the folks that will be working for a specific company, or maybe they work in a cybersecurity firm that is contracted by companies. And basically their job is to hack that company and then create a report and tell that company exactly how they were able to hack. And really the goal is to not only identify existing vulnerabilities on the company, but also audit the way that that company is able to react to ongoing incidents. And the overall hope is that this will help improve that company's security. Now, whenever I was looking into this, I learned that red teamers are very, very similar to penetration testers, but have a pretty distinct difference. Penetration testers will pretty much pull any tool, any kind of exploit, any kind of tool, technique, or procedure out of their tool bag and really try to just throw them all at the company and see what sticks. They may not necessarily be looking at being more stealthy or at emulating any kind of a threat group. And a threat group is a group of hackers that is known to be working together under a certain name. For instance, Lapsus is a threat group, Lazarus Group is a threat group, there's a bunch of them. But anyway, penetration testers aren't really trying to emulate any of them. They're really just throwing everything against the wall, seeing what sticks, and then reporting to the company, hey, we threw a bunch of things at the wall. These are the things that stuck, and these are what you can do to keep them from sticking next time. Red team, on the other hand, is going to be much more specific. They will do a similar function as in they are going to hack a company to be able to report back to that company what they did. However, they might be using a specific tool or using a specific technique or using a specific procedure in order to emulate a certain threat group. And that is really to train the defensive staff on how to react to those threat groups, to find what they need to be looking for to catch those threat groups, and really to know whether the company can defend against that threat group at all. Another thing that they might be doing is whenever an update rolls out and is implemented in an environment, they might attack the system that was updated, really to see that the old exploits that were supposed to be patched don't work anymore. So a lot of people will use penetration tester and red team interchangeably, but that's not exactly correct. That said, it is understandable why there is some confusion there because they are very similar. It was while I was learning about penetration testing and red teaming that I also learned about bug bounty hunters. Bug bounty hunters, from what I've seen, can be anything from a freelancer that works full-time in transition bug bounty hunting to somebody that just does it as a hobby. However, that being said, what I have seen more of is people doing it as a hobby, because from what I've heard, it is pretty difficult to be able to get enough money out of bug bounty hunting to be able to make it your full-time gig in any kind of a consistent basis. But really, basically, bug bounty hunters will take advantage of what's called a bug bounty program. That's whenever a company decides that they're going to open up their website or their public-facing systems to be attacked by people given a certain scope. And they will basically put this bug bounty on a platform like HackerOne, and then a bug bounty hunter can go onto that platform, join that bug bounty, and then try hacking those different systems within that program. And if they find different vulnerabilities and they report it to that company, then they might get a payout based on how severe that vulnerability was. And that's really a way for companies to outsource penetration testing to the community and not necessarily have to hire penetration testers for their own internal company. Now, I do want to say that if you're interested in being a bug bounty hunter, absolutely do not hack a company and then just tell them about how you hack them and do so outside of a program and then just say, oh no, I was bug bounty hunting. No, that's not going to fly, and that's going to get you a knock on the door from the FBI. If you're going to do bug bounty hunting, make sure you're doing it through a program like HackerOne or some of the other programs out there, and make sure that you are staying in scope. That being said, I've seen some people get hilarious payouts from bug bounty hunting programs, whether that is a whole Tesla or that is millions of dollars in cash prizes. So it is very lucrative. However, it does require a pretty good amount of understanding on how to hack a system. And a lot of it is pretty new, so there is still some friction between bug bounty programs and the bug bounty hunters themselves, where some bug bounty hunters feel that they're getting screwed over. Some companies may not pay things out, so be careful, protect yourself, and understand that this is really kind of a breaking edge part of cybersecurity. There may not necessarily be as much regulation as maybe there should be, but there is also lots of opportunity to make some money and really kind of learn more about this industry. So anyway, after over a year of grinding and learning how to hack and trying to figure out whether I wanted to be a penetration tester or even a bug bounty hunter, I really learned that I wanted to be neither. I did not want to do this kind of thing. It was burning me out really, really quickly. And I was becoming more and more reminded that I don't really enjoy the technical side of cybersecurity. I really enjoy the soft skill side of cybersecurity. And that's where I was forced to look back at the cyber defensive side. So now we're going to look at some of the cyber defense roles, and we're going to start with some of the roles that I've personally worked so far in my career. And we're going to look at some of the roles that I've looked at as a potential landing spot. The first role that I had in this industry was as a cybersecurity engineer. Now, basically what a cybersecurity engineer is, they work on the back end of the different tools that your defensive team will be working on to really make sure that it's still up. And the alerts are set, the reporting is set, and everything is configured properly so the defensive team can use it to look at incidents. Really, my main goal was to make sure that availability was up, but my second goal was that the alerting was good and to build reports for people as needed. I learned an absolute ton in this job, and while it definitely pushed me from a technical perspective, I'm glad that I spent my time in that role, because if I didn't do that, then I probably would not have had confidence in my ability to learn more about hacking, and I wouldn't have gained enough confidence just that I could succeed in this industry in general. However, it's also good that I did this job because I learned that that is not my passion. I do not want to be a cybersecurity engineer. So I became a cybersecurity analyst. On this side, you're really on the front end of the tools that you use as a cybersecurity engineer. So instead of configuring the reports, you're digesting the reports, and you're really looking for trends amongst your alerts, your reports, the different tickets that come through to look for concerning instances where maybe something could be a security incident and maybe something's just not a security incident. So you're really trying to filter through these things, identify where you might have a vulnerability, where there might be a hacking attempt, stuff like that. And that really requires a ton of digging through tickets, a ton of digging through data, and a ton of meetings. And that was a great experience as well, because I got to see a really realistic and grounded picture of what this industry truly is. It's not the flashy, sexy stuff that you see on Mr. Robot or some of the other cool hacking shows. It's really sitting in a lot of meetings. It's really digesting a lot of reports, digging through data, and really spending like 90% of your time not dealing with security incidents, and then maybe 5% dealing with a security incident. That being said, I would highly recommend that any of you that are wanting to work in cybersecurity, spend some time as a cybersecurity analyst, because even if you want to work on the offensive side, knowing the workflow of a typical cyber defense team, of a typical cybersecurity analyst, and knowing kind of the structure of a cybersecurity team, that will give you a leg up in penetration testing, and it will really help you to get a better understanding of this industry. So I had been working on the defensive side, I dabbled a little bit on the offensive side, and I'd concluded, okay, the technical stuff isn't necessarily for me, but then what other options are there for me? Well, fortunately for me, there are still a few jobs that you can get in cybersecurity where you're not necessarily doing a lot of technical stuff. And yet there are also also some of the most impactful parts of this industry. On defense, your best defense can actually come from policy. And that really is where you can dictate what employees can and cannot do in their jobs to really protect them from themselves. And all of that can be controlled by being a GRC analyst or governance, risk, and compliance analyst. These are the folks that help write, edit, produce, distribute, etc. different cybersecurity policies within a company. Not only policies, but other types of governance documents. They raise awareness within an organization about security. They're really your cybersecurity champions, but also on paper, they are your cybersecurity champions, and paper is king in this industry. This role is super important, and yet it is also super underappreciated. You hear a lot about people that want to become elite hackers, and you rarely hear about people that want to work in GRC. And yet, it's the people that work in GRC that will probably have a bigger impact on this industry, or at least a company's defense, than a hacker will. That's one of the jobs that I decided that I'm interested in. But another job that I've decided I'm interested in is as a threat intelligence analyst. Defenses need to know what they're defending themselves from, and they also need to know who they are defending themselves from. And that is where a threat intelligence analyst comes in. They're the ones who are digging through different cybersecurity news articles, different research papers, and all kinds of information online to be able to report back to their company and say, hey, these are the different threat groups that are interested in us. These are the different tools, techniques, and procedures that they employ. This is what we can do on our side to protect against those things. Let's go. And they'll work with the defense to be able to put those alerts in place. They'll work with the offense to be able to mimic and emulate those different attacks. They'll be working with the red team to do that. They play a very critical role, and they can have a huge impact on a company's defense. I think that's all pretty cool, and maybe you think that that's pretty cool too. There's still one more role that I'm interested in, but I'm definitely not eligible for that right now as I'm making this video. I really need to spend a little bit more time in the industry before I can get some of the certifications necessary to get into this kind of a job, but that is as being a cybersecurity manager. And you probably know what that is, so I'm going to be brief with it. Managers are responsible for really getting the team together, keeping them on mission, keeping them on task, and really they can set the strategic direction for a team. They are very, very important, but what is most important as a cybersecurity manager is leadership and making sure that you are leading the team and not simply managing. That's something that I'm very passionate about. However, again, since I'm really a baby in this industry, I'm still fairly early in my career, I need to spend a little bit more time working before I can really get a manager position like that. So those are the different cybersecurity jobs that exist in this industry. But if you want to know why specifically I decided to put my hacker dreams on ice, check out this video. Like if this video was helpful, and comment with what kind of cybersecurity job you want to get. With all that, I will see you all later. Bye.